Don't know how the audio is going to be on this one. I'm going to try and speak loud so that you're able to hear me. So here we have a Samsung X Cover, I believe. X Cover Pro. So we're going to do a repair on this one. What we do is start out with just basically taking the back off. Always, first rule of thumb with repairing any device is disconnect power before you go ahead and start doing anything with it, like opening it up or anything like that, because if you strike a circuit or anything and you have the battery still attached, the likeliness of it shorting is very high, so we try to stay away from that. A lot of people like to use a ground. I don't really use that myself because I've never found the need to, but it is something that comes in handy if you want to assure the safety of your device whenever you're doing a repair. Here, what I'm going to do is heat up the front display. You have to be able to access any components or the logic board on this device. You have to access it through the main display, so we're going in through the front on this model. Basically just heat it up around the edges, get a little feel. About 60 degrees Celsius is pretty high enough for it to separate from the adhesive. Hopefully you guys can see that on here. So it's starting to get pretty close here, and we'll take his label off just so that we know where it is. Starting to get pretty warm. I do it all by feel. Some people use a temp gun. I have a temp gun. Been doing this long enough. I don't really need to use any of that equipment because I've basically learned my own technique, which is something that you might do on your own if you ever try to do this by yourself. So now I like to use Dunlop Yellow, best guitar pick out there for doing anything such as this. And we're gonna get this screen separated. Always going around the edges, try to get a nice border. Get your border peeled up nice first before you start going too far. Now the LCD on this model, this particular phone has already been damaged, so we're not going to try to salvage the LCD so that we can refurbish it or do replacement glass on it. Not going to work, so just going to continue on doing it how we do. If she cracks a little bit or anything, nothing to worry about on this one. There we go. Start to peel her up. gussets and stuff I'm going to take off. A little bit of a scratchy poo on there, but that's okay. And the tool I just used there, that you heard kind of jingling behind you, was a screwdriver magnetizer. And what that does is it basically just makes it so I can pick up my screws. Need a magnetizer for doing this sort of job. Because if you didn't have a magnetized screwdriver, it wouldn't just, your screws wouldn't stick to the screwdriver just that nice, and then you'd be fiddling around. It's not very fun trying to pick up screws that are this small with your fingers all the time. I got pretty big hands, pretty big fingers, so just easier to use a magnetizer. Now, let's turn that a little. Angle it a bit. Something that I want you guys to keep in consideration here is that these videos will mainly be for educational purposes. I do not accept any responsibility whatsoever for anybody attempting any repairs on their own on any devices or anything like that. Just gonna throw that out there right now. If you do attempt something like this, you are doing that under your own liability, not mine. So keep that in mind if you're ever going ahead and doing this on your own. I've been doing this for about 10 years, so I'm very experienced with what I do. I didn't even need to watch a video or nothing like that to pop this device open that I've never actually done before. And the reason for that is because I have the experience and know how to know what's going to be inside an electronic before I open it up. It's taken a few years to get to that point, but practice makes perfect. Now, before I start going too far, I do have an idea of how this separates internally, but always be careful and take your time. If possible, try to find an instructional video on the device you are repairing. Let's see here. Tool in my hand right now, this is called a spudger, and basically this is for getting into tight little places and stuff to be able to separate, say, like a screen from the frame on a device. Now, I'm just trying to figure out which way this is popping out, because if it's popping out towards me, it's good. They started doing this with the Samsung S5, and that's been a little bit of a new thing for us technicians to learn. I'm just gonna cut this LCD right off of here because it's getting in my way more than anything. So, I'm starting to find that this frame pops out just like so. Haha. finding a lot of what I need to by feel here, right? And that's definitely a way that if you're ever doing this yourself, be very, very precautious if you're doing something of a similar manner to what I'm doing. Doing it by feel for the first time without having to have watched a video is very, very difficult and dangerous to do. You can damage the device very easily if you're not careful. But all part of learning. I've never broken a device actually doing this. I've had a few devices that I've encountered that I wasn't able to actually repair. I've broken a few screens trying to get them in, but I've never actually damaged anyone's device to a point that, well, actually to any point, but especially to a point of beyond repair. I'm here to fix them, not to break them. So there we go, we got that separated off. A little bit difficult to get inside of that. And then here we have the logic board, and this is the daughter board with the charge port. On these models, the charge port is actually integrated. So, well, on here it's not so much. It is kind of integrated into the daughter board, but it's not integrated into the entire logic board on this model. So that's pretty good. It does get to be a little bit frustrating if you have an integrated charge port in your device, and say the charge port breaks or gets jammed or something. It makes it a little bit difficult to repair that. You do need a special device or a special soldering station called a micro soldering station. They're a little bit expensive, not too crazy, but it does take a little bit of training and expertise to be able to get to that point. So now what we got here, this is the logic board, a little bit of that's a little bit of frame there for the camera, for the selfie camera, I do believe. Now, it's not going to be a right complete teardown, but I'm just going to basically show you what the device looks like with all the components out, other than the loudspeaker. I think some of this is actually, but all the little parts I'll just leave in there, like earpiece speaker, headphone jack, stuff like that. Got your Wi-Fi antennas here, or cellular antennas. Now, when you do a repair like this, you're going to definitely want to inform whoever your client is or your customer that it will void any warranty that they have through their manufacturer. And not only that, if it also has a waterproof seal, water resistant seal I call it, it's not waterproof. Nothing in the electronics world is waterproof. That's just a myth. They do a better job of sealing them now compared to how they used to, but at the end of the day, it is still something to consider that it is a water resistant device, never an actual waterproof device. Please keep that into consideration. But what will happen when you separate the factory seal on it for the first time is it will no longer be able to be sealed against moisture or anything like that. Alright, so we made it far enough here that what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at our parts. So this is the X-cover display, ordered it a couple weeks ago. Try to get it here so you can see. What do we got here? A little bit more. Open sesame. I like how he packaged this, real nice. I like that foam. Boxed in here even. Boxed inside the box. X-Cover Pro. So this is our display. Throw all the garbage on the ground because I don't want it, I don't like it, and I don't need it. Oh, and this is a very, very nice display. Looking very good. It's actually got all the parts that I wanted on it, so not that there was a whole lot, but I was gonna just take a couple things off of the old one and put them on here, but I don't have to because he already has it there. I will have to tape it though to get it on, and then I do put a little bit of glue around the edges on these just to hold it in nice. I like my customers being happy, don't like them coming back saying that their screen has fallen off, so we deal with that by just sealing them properly the first time. So the GoPro right now is sitting at about 1 bar left of juice, so we're getting pretty close to the end of this battery run. And I have been using it pretty steady for the past couple days, so she's been lasting pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. Like I was saying, using a GoPro Hero 3 Plus to do all the filming here, and yeah, definitely one of the best models out there by GoPro. It's one of their first models, well, not their first model, but one of their earliest models, we'll say. And yeah, there is not much out there that can perform in the same manner.